Grammy award-winning band Bon Jovi recently released their highly anticipated new album.
When you can't do what you do what you can. This ain't my fear, it's just a thought I'm wanting to send.
That's Do What You Can from the band's 15th studio album called 2020. Rock icon, philanthropist, and lead singer Jon Bon Jovi was inspired by the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement to write the band's most topical record so far. In the new song American Reckoning, Bon Jovi takes on racial injustice after the death of George Floyd.
America's on fire. There's protests in the street. Her conscience has been looted, and her soul is under siege. Another mother's crying as history repeats. I can't breathe.
Such a powerful song.
Yes.
Jon Bon Jovi joins us now. Jon, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I want to get to the album in just one second, but I know you toured with Eddie Van Halen and Van Halen back in 1995, and I just want to get your thoughts this morning on the loss of Eddie Van Halen.
Well, every teenager of my era couldn't look at an electric guitar and not wish that they could play like Eddie Van Halen. He was an innovator of our generation. He'll be remembered forever and sorely missed.
The two songs that we just played, Jon, you originally weren't planning to put on 2020, the album. You were pretty much done, but things changed. What made you sit down and write those songs?
Well, we went to Nashville to create this album in March of 2019. And what I thought was the record was really, in essence, the first batch of songs. I had come up with the title 2020. It had a dual meaning initially, which was clarity and vision. I knew where I was going musically, but also the cuteness and the wryness of an election year and probably sell a lot of T-shirts. But as events started to unfold, I continued that writing process and then pulled the album in light of what had happened with the shutdown and the COVID crisis. So if I was going to claim to have written a topical record, I had to address COVID and then ultimately the Black Lives Matter movement and the death of George Floyd. So I wrote American Reckoning. And then 2020 took on a whole different meaning as an album title where I was just bearing witness to history.
Yeah.
You wrote American Reckoning, which is such a powerful song. After some feedback from your wife when she first heard the song, what did she say to you?
Well, you know, it was an exercise that I've done many times over the years. I'll write a song, I'll think it's presentable, and the first person I play it for would typically be my wife. And Dorothea walked in and said, the verse is great. And that verse that you hear it as it is, she said, it's great. She says, but the chorus could use some work. And so I went back to the room, shut the door, and came back with the call to action, which was to shine a light and use your voice, and then you will remember me in our American Reckoning. And the process went on because I had to play it for friends of mine who would be able to opine as writers and as members of the community, all the way through the recording process. When I went in the studio, and it was our drummer, Tico Torres, who said to me, I still think you can come up with a better title. And as I was scanning the lyric, American Reckoning was a line in the third verse, and I utilized that as the title. And of course, that is what the song's about, our American Reckoning. And I thought that makes it perfect. That makes it right.
Thank you to the lovely Dorothea, Jon, your own personal built-in truth teller. I love the words, though. It's very powerful to me. One lyric says, when did a judge and a jury become a badge and a knee on these streets? Are you worried about criticism that you may receive or alienating some of your fans? You know, normally people at your stature, when they speak out, you get hammered, and sometimes then you're judged. Are you worried about that?
Well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, but I can only say this, Gail. I bear witness to history throughout the course of this record. When all of us watch that news segment, how could you not be moved? Where's the humanity if you're not moved by what you saw? with the death of George Floyd when he called out for his mom.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, believe me, I love the police. I have done so much for police and firefighters and EMT workers over the years. But in this instance and in others that we see daily, the most recent one with Jonathan Price, it happens. And I had to write the truth.
Yeah, you also speak the truth. I love the album, Story of Love and Lower the Flag, two of my favorites. You also reportedly got together with Bruce Springsteen, two New Jersey boys getting together. His album comes out October 23rd. Boy, would I've loved to be a fly on the wall for that session where you played each other's music. How'd that go?
Oh, it's always great. I've been blessed to have known him for my entire adult life. And so he came over and heard this record, and I was at his home and heard his record weeks ago. And so, it's incredible for me as a fan to have had that opportunity throughout my adult life. And it's touching that, we're close enough to sit there and listen to each other's songs and talk about them.
Jon, you dealt with COVID in a couple of different ways, both within your family and within your band. How serious were those cases, and how's everybody doing?
Everybody's fine now, thank you very much. And for those who still don't believe that the COVID crisis was real, we can tell you here in New York City, this was the epicenter. And having known more than one person who is no longer with us as a result, this was very real. And then 2 members of my band contracted it and were sick for 4, 5, 6 weeks. One of my sons contracted a very, very mild case. He was sick for 3 or 4 days. So it's all around us, and you had to take it seriously. But when I wrote Do What You Can, we were at one of our JBJ Soul Kitchens where Gail is very familiar.
Wow.
And I was washing dishes one day early on in the pandemic, and Dorothea snapped a picture of me so that we could tell the in-need public that we'd be there. In fact, we decided to deem ourselves essential because we remained open so that the in-need population could
But Jon,
to come and eat, and we were there.
Can I recommend?
I wrote the song.
Oh, that's good. That's good. But I really want people to know about this. You got to get the latest issue of People magazine. Have you seen that couple on the cover? And then when you see the interior picture, I love, Jon, I love so much the interior picture of you and your 4 children and the shots of you and Dorothea younger, because I think what a testament it is to the 2 of you, and that the children get to see their mom and dad back in the day who were dating in high school, who are still together today. I opened and I saw that picture. I'm not kidding. It made my heart do little pity pats. And so I'm curious about, you guys are all quarantining together, how that's going for you all now. You said you're spending more time together than you have in a long time. The older kids, too.
Everybody was together for the first month, and then the big kids made a break for it, and they said, we'll take our chances. We got to go.
I know. A lot of families got a little too close. Jon Bon Jovi, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Congrats.
Bon Jovi's new album, 2020, and it's a really powerful one, is on sale now.